on the Death Star or anything?
The Death Star's done.
Over 2.
No.
Done.
Well, currently we're on like big ships. They're triangular in shape.
Yeah. Never forget the Death Star.
We're with Josh McDermitt from The Walking Dead. You started in radio.
Yeah.
You're a stand-up comedian. How did you get into acting?
I felt like acting was kind of a natural progression, the next step in the evolution of me not wanting a real job. You know, it's something I always wanted to do, and as I was doing stand-up comedy, I kept getting asked, do I act and that sort of thing, and I'd already had an agent who would book me into these comedy shows, and I said sure, and they started sending me out for auditions, and at that point I started, getting with acting coaches and that sort of thing, and one thing kind of led to another, and you just start booking jobs, and it was hard because I didn't know what I was doing, but it was also kind of a simple choice for me to make, so it was a lot of fun.
How did you go from comedy to drama? Did you watch the show?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, doing drama was something I always knew I could do, but it took some convincing of like my agents and manager and just some other people. I was on a show called Retired at 35, which was a sitcom on TV Land, and the whole time I was doing that, I was working with my acting coach and only working on drama, and so I felt like after Retired at 35 went away, I kind of felt like it was time. Let's not ignore the drama. Let's get out there and do that sort of thing. And so I told my agents, and they said okay. And literally, The Walking Dead was the first thing they sent me out for. So I ended up booking that, and haven't looked back since. I'm actually having a hard time convincing people that I do comedy now because I'm known for drama. So it's a weird thing.
What is a day like on the set of The Walking Dead?
A day on The Walking Dead is pretty intense. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a scene where you're killing walkers or if you are just sitting in the background. It's, number one, we're dealing with the heat in Georgia. We're dealing with just the intensity of the storylines. It's definitely the hardest job I've ever had, but it's also the most fun, the most rewarding, and just being there with everyone, the cast and crew, all the producers, like working on something, collaborating, is so rewarding. It's so much fun, and it's like it makes the difficulties of shooting this show much easier to swallow.
Who's your favorite to do scenes with?
My favorite, I can't say because that might be spoilery, I guess. I mean, I really like watching Andrew Lincoln work because that guy, he's a true pro, and he definitely raises everyone's game. He's one of those actors that you got to bring it when you're doing a scene with him because he's not going to let you off the hook, and that's what I appreciate. I never want to be the best actor in the room. I always want to be with guys like Andy so I can learn from him. Watching Norman work and Melissa's incredible. Doing scenes with Cudlitz is always fun, and I don't know. I enjoy working with everybody, and I don't know that there's anybody I don't like working with. Maybe Baby Judith.
So I hear you're a licensed hot air balloon pilot.
Yeah.
Do you get to do that often?
No, I actually haven't flown in a while. I've been too busy for that, but it's something that we had when I was growing up as a kid, and our family just had a hot air balloon, and I ended up getting my pilot's license and doing that, and it was fun. It's a crazy way to experience your childhood up in the air. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man.
Keep you too long.
Have a good one.
You too. Your first role was in broad daylight, right?
It was.
How did it feel to be offered that first part?
Well, I didn't get offered. I had auditioned for it, and it was one of those things that I was still really green, and it was just like one line or two lines in a TV movie of the week with Brian Dennehy and Cloris Leachman, and so for me, just being on set, like back then, I would have been glad to be a good deal caterer or anything. I would have been just to get on a movie set, and so to get on there and have a line was huge for me, you know? And so it was just one of those steps in my career that was so vital, because it was one of those things that made it all more real to me, that maybe I could actually do this, you know? Maybe this isn't so far-fetched, you know?
Of all the roles you've done, what's been your favorite role?
Gods and Generals, for sure, yeah.
And why?
Well, I played a real man from history, a real, true American, you know, soldier, Captain Sandy Penleton. He was Stonewall Jackson's right-hand man. Really relied on Sandy Penleton a lot. He was the only person that Stonewall Jackson would refer to by his first name. Really loved Sandy Penleton, and so I got to play somebody that was that meant something to the history of our country, even. And I got to visit his grave, that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's a different type of attachment, you know? It's a real, palpable, like, it's a human being, and so you want to do justice to them, you know? You want to make sure that you respect them, you know?
And myself being an aspiring film director and planning on doing a Civil War film myself,
Very cool.
what advice would you have for someone like that?
Have a lot of money. Because if you want to do a Civil War movie, the best advice is to appeal to reenactors. Because they'll do it for free for the most part if you just feed them well. You want advice? Feed them. If you feed them well, they'll bend over backwards for you. Napoleon said an army marches but on its stomach. And it's the same thing for film crews and stuff like that. You don't even hardly have to pay anybody anything as long as you feed them. That's the best advice I can give you.
Good advice. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
We're here with John Schneider
Hi.
at Fandomfest. First question, Dukes of Hazzard was your first show.
Yes.
You had a lot of great cast members on there.
Oh, yeah.
Denver Pyle, James Best. Was there someone who took you under their wing and really kind of helped you out?
Denver Pyle. Without question. He was great. He made sure that he couldn't make sure I was happy, but he always asked if I was. If there was ever anything going wrong in my life, he seemed to know it and would pull me aside and say, "What's going on?" So he was a delightful man, a wonderful influence on me. And oddly enough, well, it's not so odd, but he would communicate with my mother, not tattle, but he would communicate with my mother to make sure that she knew that her son was doing okay. He would never tell her when I wasn't, but he'd always tell her when I was, and he would never lie.
So he was like a father figure, kind of?
Very much like a father figure or a great uncle figure, yeah.
Now, Johnny Cash and June Carter played an important part in your life.
I lived with John and June, yep. I lived with them for a year, a little bit more than a year, and what delightful people. Wonderful. How did they affect you? Johnny affected me in a great way because he was a legend, but didn't seem to know it, but knew when he had to put on his legend suit, kind of like a superhero.
Amazing artist.
Right? Oh yeah, an amazing artist, but you'd never meet plain and wonderful as a box of rocks backstage, off stage, fishing, sitting around the house, playing, looking at Civil War buttons and old coins and things. Just a great guy, and a terrific example of a Christian man who was rough around the edges and around the middle and everywhere, and was not someone who pretended to be nicer than Jesus. Right? This was a rough guy, held together by his love for God and fear of June.
Can see that.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of church people are so, "Oh, how are you? Everything is." I said, "No, come on. Everything is not wonderful. I know everything is not wonderful. It hasn't been wonderful in the last couple of minutes, or at least not. Well, anyway, don't want to get political. So it's not wonderful. So Johnny would never say things were great if they weren't, and I appreciate that, and I won't either. You heard that just before he started rolling the camera.
John Schneider Productions is your company.
John Schneider Studios. Yes, that's okay. That's all right.
I am an independent filmmaker.
Cool.
What advice would you give someone like me trying to break in?
Make your movies. I mean, nowadays with this camera, what is that? Is that a 2K or a 4K camera? What is that? Is it 1080?
2K.
2K. That, I mean, there isn't anybody that projects 4K yet, really, anyway, unless it's a $200 million flop. Right? Studio made $200 million flop. Make your movies. But make your movies. Don't make the mistake I made with I make my movies. Don't make the mistake I made with my music. I made other people's music and I did really, really well for them with it. Once I wrote on Dukes of Hazzard. I wrote screenplays before Dukes of Hazzard as a 16-year-old. And it took me until Collier and Company in 2006 to finally decide, you know, I've got a camera, I can make my own movie, and I went out and I did, and it's okay. And now I've made several more since then, and they're better and better every time. So make them. Don't wait for someone else to bless your dream. Go out and seize it.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so
What do you
much.
edit on?
We do
Premiere.
Yeah, Premiere and Pinnacle Studios.
Oh, okay. All right. Premiere, I hear, is really good now.
I can't use it. I have editors that do it.
Are you the director?
Yeah, I'm the writer-director.
Learn how to use it. Okay. Learn how to use it so that you will know what is not worthy of worrying about in the field. Okay. A director that can't see something and say, I can cut around that. Not they'll fix it. There's a difference between I can cut around that and they'll fix it. Okay? I think you do yourself a disservice not knowing how to use that program. Take a week and learn how to use that program. Okay? There's a lot of things you don't have to worry about. I bet you are currently concerned about when you film. Okay? There's that. Learn it, and then you'll get it. All right?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck to you. Go get it.
All right, we're with Tom Wopat at Fandomfest. Tom, you were really young when you started. Was there anyone who took you under their wing?
You know, I mean, the main thing for me was that I had never really done much work on film. Only a couple of things. So I was most worried about that, about, you know, really learning the skills, learning the trade. And guys like Rod Amato is one of our producers. And he was a pro. He was a guy who'd been around for a long time. He helped me a lot. But mostly, you know, the directors of photography were all pretty good. And Bob Jessup was in Georgia, and then we had Dominic Palmer in LA. And then ended up with Jack Whitman, who was our DP for a long time. And that's really probably the guy I learned the most from.
Said it was the most people I've ever had.
Now you've done music, you've done a lot of stage. What do you enjoy the most?
You know, all of them in different times. I think that's kind of the key to why I stay interested, why I still do it. So I get to do a lot of good stuff, you know. I get to sing at Carnegie Hall every now and then, and did a movie with Quentin Tarantino, a nice scene with Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz. And yeah, it was fun. And then, you know, I still do some interesting television. And I write songs and record, and it's you know, it's a lot of fun.
My next question was going to be about Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
He was my inspiration for film. I make film myself. Seeing you in Django was amazing.
Like anything or not?
Love that little scene.
Oh, thank you.
How did you, going from the Dukes of Hazzard, which is a very family-oriented show, to Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, you know, I mean, you go through a lot of different stuff, and different projects are, you know, it's not like you choose. you know, people offer stuff to you, and you do it or you don't. One thing that really helped as far as transition from the lighter stuff to heavier stuff was I did a stage production of Glengarry Glen Ross with Alan Alda, Liev Schreiber. It was a real all-star cast. And I did that back in 2007 or something like that. And that helped a lot. That changed the whole perception of what I do. So, again, I've been fortunate.
Who was your favorite person to work with?
John,
She's always like, I
pretty
got
much,
you.
yeah. And then I would have to say next would be Bernadette Peters, working with her. She's amazing.
Well, you come to the
We don't
right
want to
place.
take too much of your time.
All right, well,
Thank
it's
you
nice
so
talking
much.
to you. You bet. Have a good time.